Everyone, today's broadcast Southern Virginia soccer. We have our men's team today, your Southern Virginia Knights hosting the Emory and Henry Wasps. Art Furler here with the head coach of the women's team, Matt Graurock. Matt, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
Nice to have you out here with us. And I'll tell you, before we start talking about soccer, it is just the gorgeous time of year out here, isn't it?
It is.
Love the fields up here. You get the start, the change in the trees to the yellows and reds and everything. Just a beautiful place to see to play. We also have the stands coming in on the far side. You'll get to see in some of the broadcasts. We've got seating coming in for homecoming coming up here in just a little bit. We'll have broadcasts of events there too. But tonight, the task at hand, the Knights and the Wasps. Your thoughts on that matchup?
I think it's going to be a great opportunity for our Knights to have some success. I know that Emory and Henry has played a pretty challenging schedule. They're an ODAC team, and they certainly play some very competitive teams, just like our team has as well. And I think we're looking at sort of similar results between the two teams, and so obviously this is going to be an opportunity for our team to use that home field advantage and hopefully get back on the winning path right after a tough conference game on Saturday against Salisbury.
Yeah, Salisbury, like you said, a tough one, a loss 3-0, and then a close one at Bridgewater last week as well. Yep. 2-1 before the last time the Knights here at home playing Valley Forge. A little bit less difficult of a contest that time, coming out with the 8-0 victory. We'll see what the Knights can do here back at home. As you said, it'd be nice to get a break in the schedule before we go back into conference play again with Penn State, Harrisburg, and then away at Christopher Newport.
Yep.
Pretty tough opponents coming up as well.
The conference in general is just brutal for the men's team. There's three teams that are either in the top 25 or sniffing around the top 25, and then you've got Dark Horse and Wesley that Coach Patino has talked about is potentially an area of concern for them. But I mean, you look at the conference up and down, and it's just nothing but quality. There's no gimmies, and every game is going to be them battling. So certainly a game like this, kind of a nice respite, I guess, heading back into the conference, and so hopefully the Knights can get themselves some good rhythm as far as playing possession and play in these comfortable surroundings and hopefully get a good win.
Certainly the opportunity as well, though. There you have to look at it from the Wasp side and say, hey, this is an opponent who's going to be tough, perhaps a learning opportunity for them, but it would be a big thing for their program to come in and get a win too. Certainly perhaps a trap game for Southern Virginia. I think you don't want to overlook any opponent.
Yeah, I think so, and certainly by no means is Emory and Henry going to be a pushover. They've got quality up and down the lineup, and then you again, like we said, they're playing in a conference that is very, very competitive as well, some top 25 teams, and so they're no strangers to being competitive, and so this is going to be a game where the Knights are definitely going to have to play their best, but at the same time, if they're smart about kind of just the principles that Coach Patino is working with them, I have a lot of confidence in their abilities. They have some great talent, so certainly it's a situation where if they put things in the right order and make things click, that they have a very good chance of getting a win.
Outstanding, and certainly some strong lineups for each team as well, particularly as we look at the Knights lineup. Some highlights so far this year. Certainly Carlos Munoz has had some big games. Eric Gutierrez as well. Who are some other folks that you think we should keep an eye out for on the broadcast tonight?
Well, I think certainly a player that brings a lot of energy and is a very, very strong player in the back line is Court Cox.
Sure.
Second-year player who anchors that line and hopefully with the right protection can do a lot of things getting in front, but at the same time also breaking up some attacks. And I think the other player is Josh Smith, a very dynamic player. Had some problems with him earlier on the season in the sense that he was injured. So I think certainly a situation where if he can get on track, he can be a very good attacking option for the Knights.
Outstanding. We'll see how the Knights can put that together here in a minute. We're going to break away for just a minute as we go to the prayer and national anthem. were talking earlier about getting a respite. We got a little bit of a respite there from the wind. We apologize for the tumultuous conditions here that you're getting on the broadcast. It is a very, very windy game that we're about to have here. Certainly the conditions up here on the hill favorable for a good fall afternoon, not so much for broadcasting.
No, they definitely don't. But I'd be interested to see it. It might die down later on in the evening. So one of the unique characteristics of the field is the fact that we kind of have a nice little wind tunnel with the Blue Ridge right there. And so what happens as it gets to dusk, you get this nice little wind tunnel right through the field. So, but then it kind of dies down once the sun goes down. So it'd be interesting to see that pattern holds, or if it stays windy all night long. It'll definitely make things very tricky as far as for clearances. It's blowing across the field, so it doesn't really favor either team one way or the other.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was just going to ask, not being a soccer expert myself, certainly I'm familiar with how it affects a football game.
Mm-hmm.
It favors the running game and so forth. What else does it affect in soccer when the wind kicks up?
Well, certainly the ability, if you have a team that's going to be trying to put balls in the air for crosses, if they're trying to put balls into space for a player to run onto, that wind certainly affects it because it pushes, obviously, the ball away, throws off crosses, throws off the ability for players to time their runs. So, a team that's going to be able to keep that ball on the ground and possess it with smart, simple passes on the ground, a lot of times with a windy game like this is going to be a lot better off.
Interesting. Well, we'll see which team is able to adapt in that scenario better. I suppose in that case it tends to favor the defense as well in that scenario. Is that correct?
Yes and no. You certainly get a situation where the defense can take advantage of the fact that the ball goes long, but at the same time, you can also run into a problem where the defense, misjudges the ball or doesn't exactly get a good feel for what the ball is going to do based on the fact that the wind is throwing off. So it helps them and it doesn't at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see again which team is going to be able to adjust the quickest to the wind.
Had a couple of changes in starting lineups there at the last minute. We apologize for being a little delayed on those. First, we'll start out with the team from Southern Virginia. Coach Grauer, will you give us those?
Yeah, definitely. In goals, Efren Gutierrez, a junior from Santa Barbara, California. Number 2 at forward is Jared Attridge from Deer Park, Washington. They have Sam Horman playing in defense from Idaho Falls, Idaho. Carlos Munoz, again, we talked about, midfielder from Lynchburg, Virginia. Eric Gutierrez, a forward from Santa Barbara, California. He's twins with Efren. Josh Smith, number 10, he's a sophomore from Newburgh, Indiana. Carter Woods is a forward freshman from Boise, Idaho. Brahima Molaba is a midfielder from Baltimore, Maryland. And Colin Flynn is going to be playing defense today from Chesapeake, Virginia as a freshman. Court Cox, as we mentioned, a sophomore defender from Farmington, New Mexico. And lining it up is Jose Rivas Cruz, who's a midfielder from Dinwiddie, Virginia.
And then for the Emory and Henry Wasps, we've got number 3, Jared Rondo, number 4, Ian Smith, number 10, Jared Erickson, number 11, Josh Villanueva, number 13, Kenny Stern, number 15, Randall Colquitt, number 17, Zach Quest, number 21, David Jackson, number 31, Jimmy Wilmoth, number 37 in goal, Didier Grille, and number 27, Tim Coulter. And with that, looks like we're getting ready to start off. Things to look for earlier in this game, Coach.
I think possession by the Knights. Try to establish that, like we talked about, those smart, simple balls on the ground. And then some attacking. See some confidence in the ball and try to get themselves opportunities for shots. For Emory and Henry, likely, they made a trip up today, so shaking off that rust really quickly and being smart, compact defensively and make sure that their travel legs are taken care of pretty quickly.
And the wind already starting to play a little bit of a factor. Looks like that one got a little bit away from Brahima that time. And that'll be Emory and Henry with possession. And an early shot on goal that time. Emory and Henry certainly unabashedly coming out and taking shots.
I think that's going to be something that the Knights are going to have to be aware of very quickly, that the visitors are going to be trying to pressure and then looking for shots quickly. It's a pretty common refrain for every sport that if you don't take shots, if you don't take passes, if you don't do any number of things to score, you're not going to score. So certainly a good sign for Emory and Henry, but hopefully the Knights can lock things down defensively and be able to prevent those shots.
Well, and perhaps a factor, again, the wind on that one, saying you want to strike quickly rather than try to set up those more complex plays.
Yeah. I think another factor is for the next 20 minutes or so, the Knights have the sun in their face, so that's going to be an issue that they're going to have to deal with until it goes down. So for right now, you have to adjust. You have to be smart about your clearances, smart about your movement, so that way you don't give up those quick, easy shots because you didn't see it coming.
And that'll be possession back over to the Knights after that one. That was, if I'm correct, that was an offsides?
Yeah, that was offside by the Wasps. So Knights are playing a high line that prevents a lot of movement behind it. So
possession now back favoring the Knights, trying to establish that, get a good solid time of possession. One of those other things in a lot of sports, if you don't have the ball, you don't have a lot of opportunities, so the more they can capitalize on that and hang on to that, I assume is a big gain for them.
Yeah, I think what happens with possession a lot of times is that the quicker you are with it, the more you're moving the ball around, the better it is for great job. Fantastic shot by Carter Woods.
Just a quick one there, and the Knights, as you can tell by your reaction, striking very quickly, looking for that opportunity just very, very early on in that one.
That's exactly what the Knights need, is a quick strike to be able to get themselves on the board and be able to put pressure on the Wasps to have to get out of a hole. So that's a fantastic shot. Great setup on the free kick there. They played a smart, simple ball. They didn't try to do anything fancy, but just simple and put it into space for Carter to hit the shot. So great shot for Carter and a great goal to start the game off for the Knights.
So the Knights now leading 1-0, very short, just 2.5 minutes into this game. Shot comes back the other way, but good job by the defenders of the Knights to get in the way and break that up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Wasps handle this now, playing down a little bit. If they can adjust quickly, if you're their coach right now, that's a good thing to see. They come right back down the field and get a shot off, have an opportunity for a corner. So, that's definitely a good sign for them, and we'll see how the Knights can handle the pressure of the corner.
Corner comes in and looks to be kicked right back out. And you're talking about the good sign that the Wasps coming back and making the shot or taking a shot immediately, but the Knights did the same thing after that very early shot down this end in less than a minute.
Ooh.
Perhaps a little to the outside on that one.
Just about outside, yep.
It was David Jackson playing at the net, I believe, for the Wasps. And the Knights again with possession. Both teams so far seem to be a little bit out of sorts. You mentioned the drive up for the Wasps and perhaps the couple of tough losses that you said for the Knights side. The Knights obviously with the early goal shaking it off, but neither team really seems to be getting in system yet.
No, and I think, again, a team that's going to be able to recover quickly into their system is going to be the team that's going to have the most success. And so the danger with an early goal for the Knights is that sometimes a team can get complacent, and that can lead them to giving up mistakes, just kind of like that.
Yeah, long shot ahead, though. Good job by the defenders on the Knights to help out the goalie, but as you said, overplay just a little bit, gets away from them, and it's going to be a possession over to the Wasps. And a short-lived possession at that, as the Knights now take over possession again. Both teams still trying to get in system, trying to work their way in and start asserting their will on the other.
The good thing about the goal is that it gives a nice little bit of some comfort, a comfort zone for them to be able to work through these early game jitters. It allows them that flexibility and freedom to kind of work themselves into it, knowing that they have that goal cushion. But again, you definitely can't take that for granted, and they'll have to make sure that they are adjusting as quickly as they can to the pace of the game and what Emory and Henry is doing to throw them off system.
Yeah, takes a lot of pressure away when you can run the whole game, at least the first part of it with a lead, though again, still a lot of balls going out, and I don't think it's a coincidence that most of them are coming out on this side of the field, but the wind is still gusting pretty strongly. And another one skates out of bounds. I don't know if we can blame the wind on that one, though.
On the ground, probably not. But I think again, what you're seeing is two teams that are still very jittery, and the Knights took their advantage when they had the chance. They took their opportunity, but it could easily, as up to this point, have gone either way. So it's going to be a situation where if the Knights can calm down, I can see them scoring some more goals to allow them a bigger margin of victory, hopefully. So it's just going to depend at this point if they can calm things down and play in system.
Well, and certainly every one of those goals that you can stretch out adds to that comfort level a little bit, but you can't get too far ahead of yourself. It's about calming down first and finding things to get excited about as you move forward.
Definitely, and I think that what you may be seeing right now is that from both teams. You're seeing an Emory and Henry team that's trying very frantically to get back into the game with a quick goal to respond, and you're seeing an SVU team that is trying to push maybe a bit too hard to get that second goal. And so again, as we've been mentioning, if the teams are calm and collected, they have a better chance of finding that goal they're looking for.
Yeah, both teams playing this as if it's in the 80th or 85th minute.
Yep.
Really kind of a frenetic pace so far. Playing this game like it's a sprint, but certainly it is a marathon that they're just getting started in. Possession so far recently favoring the Wasps. The Knights now have an opportunity to turn that around and go back on the offense. Court Cox has been skying for a couple of headers so far in this game. He's got a leap on him, doesn't he?
Former basketball player, so I'd hope so. Definitely hope so.
Knights almost giving that one directly back, but being vied for at midfield at this point. Oh, and a little bit overplayed that time again by Brahima Maluba. And another header out of bounds, and another little bit of a misplay. The Wasps starting to benefit from Southern Virginia not being able to remain calm and get going here. Oh, beautiful back pass that time, unable to be fielded well though. And we're reset back to midfield. Jimmy Wilmoth sends it ahead, tries to set something up to David Jackson.
And again, you see Cord playing a really strong defensive position to clear that ball out.
Oh, great. Ooh. That was a great shot on goal, flying just wide, though. The Knights that time dodging a bullet. And
I would say that's it. We're at a point right now it's getting very dangerous for the Knights because they're allowing Emory and Harry to kind of do with what they want offensively. And what you're seeing the past 2 or 3 minutes is SVU not really trying to possess the ball from the back, but just kind of hitting it forward. And what happens with that is that you lose possession really quickly. So. And what happens then is that the opponent is able to come right back on top of you. So we've seen a lot of pressure from Emory and Henry, and the Knights are not possessing as well as I think Coach Patini would want them to.
So I want you to go on a real stretch here and say, imagine that you're a coach, and what do you tell your players in that scenario? How do you prevent that and gain that more possession?
I think what has to happen is you have to have your defensive line start being more aware of what their options are out of the back, and be a lot more comfortable and a lot more confident in their ability to clear the ball out, but not necessarily clearing the ball out with no intent. You need to get them so that they are able to possess it. Look for that simple pass out. Look for the midfielder and not simply bypass the midfield. So that's what you're going to be looking for with your back line to fix that. Not necessarily clearing it, but possessing it.
So slowly working your way up the field rather than going for the home run.
Yeah, it goes back to that idea of the marathon. And right now, I think what you're seeing is defenders who are trying to sprint when they should be, worried about the long distance and being smart about it. So right there, this little section right here has been a great example of it. They're very smart in their passes and getting it up, and it's quickly with 3 or 4 passes already up the field as opposed to 1.
Yeah, much better possession that time. The Knights working around, a lot of help, and a very, very good attempt there. Not going to pan out, but as you said, a lot better pressure, and the Knights still on the possession.
One of the things that happens with that set now, that segment is the fact that court is so far up that allows them that flexibility to keep on the attack, as opposed to being so far back. Their option is to kind of clear it out quickly. So being up this far and working at that possession to clear it is so much better for the Knights.
Now the Knights with the opportunity. With possession for a moment, but going back, and the Knights getting it back again. Luckily able to keep it on that offensive side of the field, where you have to imagine it's so tiring for a defense as well when the offense is perpetually on your side of the field. You're constantly on edge and having to defend because that pressure of a potential goal is always there.
Yeah, it is, and that's exactly what you want from your soccer team, and that's what we really preach as far as from the women's standpoint. And I know that Coach Patino is very adamant about that for his program as well, which is the more pressure and the quicker we can apply that pressure, the better it's going to be for us overall. So yeah, we definitely want our defenders above that half line. You want to have them, getting involved and not kind of sticking back and just worrying about the ball coming to them, but instead being proactive and going to it and getting involved in the attack.
Absolutely. More and more chances when you're on that side of the field, and the Knights trying to capitalize on that so far. The Knights winning 1-0, but the Wasps, I imagine, pretty handily winning the time of possession battle so far.
Easily, I think in the past few minutes they certainly have had that build of possession. So I think you have to make a decision as a coach. Do you worry about the possession battle, or do you worry about trying to catch them on a counterattack and just be very fast in once their attack is broken down, getting past them, getting past their attacking line and getting into the offensive third. So it'll just be a situation, how they want to proceed and how they want to approach it. And so far it looks like the Knights are looking to maybe be more counterattacking than win that time of possession. So time of possession definitely helps, but if you have a team that's very smart in attacking on a counterattack, that can be kind of washed out.
Yeah, great opportunity for a counterattack that time. The Knights looking for Atridge, and I believe it was Brahima Maluba up to side, but just a little too fast-paced prevents that, and possession back over to the Wasps. Speaking of Maluba, he is such a physical player, just getting in on those one-on-ones. He comes up with those well more often than not. Yeah,
he does, and that's such a comfort to have, somebody on that back line who's such a ball winner and so physical and is going to, roll with the punches that are going to come from, the opponent coming at you.
Good job by the Knights to get it downfield, but unable to get the shot. Little miscommunication that time, though. The pass goes wide and out of bounds from the Wasps. And that one well down onto the lower field. The Knights having a bit more offense, though, a bit more possession, and as you mentioned, past that midfield line. Playing it now down into the corner. And possession back over to the Wasps. As we approach 15 minutes almost down in this first half, the Knights still up 1-0 from that goal scored very, very early. And since then, both teams perhaps settling down a little bit, but still trying to, and neither team really definitively taking control of this game yet.
Yeah, I think if you look at it, stats certainly, as we're looking at the scoreboard right now, they're pretty much even, straight across the board. So we're looking at a situation where both teams are evenly matched, and it's going to be a situation of what team doesn't, make those mistakes or has the fewest breakdowns. And right now, Emory and Henry had that breakdown to give that 1-goal lead to the Knights. So I think it's going to be a situation where this is going to go all the way to the end, I think.
Corner kick coming in from Emory and Henry. And a little bit of a miscue that time as well. The shot very wide. That one played off the foot of Kenny Stern, I believe.
It's wide, but that's a dangerous situation because of the fact that he came in completely unmarked. You don't like to see that as a coach. That there needs to be bodies on him. That's a free shot because next time he may not hit it wide.
Yeah, that the save of the goal was not because of a great play by the Knights, but by a miscue by the Wasp.
Yep.
So while we have a minute, if it really were a group of Knights versus a group of Wasps, I mean, I imagine Wasps could get up under the armor. And
I'm going to give it to the Wasps, just on the
tough.
Basis of,
How do you attack a Wasp?
Well, I mean, if without a can of raid, you're pretty much at the mercy of the Wasp. So, again, the Knights, I think, are losing that one just on the basis of the Wasp getting in the armor.
Well, we shall see if that is how it plays out today. The Knights able to get possession back, but only momentarily. And again, really just going back and forth across midfield at this point. Good look ahead, though, to Carter Woods.
I like how Carter's been very, very active. You've seen him on both sides of the field. He's been very, very active and getting himself involved. So that's certainly a situation you want to keep, for the game. His ability to kind of move in and out and not be kind of tied down to one side or the other is definitely a plus for the Knights at this time.
Yeah, you're right. He's been all over this field on not only side to side, but also on both ends, trying to get things, trying to get some action and find the Knights more chances. Some more play at midfield now. The Wasps going on attack. Strong play to the outside. Possession to stay with the Wasps.
And the Wasps on a counterattack, and Josh Smith has a chance at a great touch by him. Now they're off. Great move to be able to get the ball to Jose Rivas Cruz. Again, like we talked about, this opportunity for the Knights to be in the counterattack. Hopefully it pays off. Oh, it looks like to be a corner kick. So the SVU bench certainly a little bit upset about that one. Felt that there was a PK involved, but referee points for a corner kick. So first corner kick for the Knights. Looks like Carter Woods and Colin Flynn will be there to put the ball into play. And now we've got a substitution for the Wasps as number 11, Josh Villanueva, looks to be coming off and looks to be he's bleeding. So that would be an NCAA rule that he cannot be on the field while he is bleeding. So they're not going to make him a substitution. The Wasps are going to play down for the next little while Villanueva meets with the trainer. Ball comes in from Carter Woods, cleared out by the Wasps, but Colin Flynn whiffs on the ball. Carlos Munoz with it, trying to dribble, and pressured out by the Wasps. Now we have on the attack number 17 for the Wasps, Zach Quest, still in attack. Gets it out wide to number 13, Kenny Stern. And puts the ball just a bit too long. And Efren Gutierrez gets the ball. Long kick by Efren. Right to the Wasps. Have it in midfield. Eric Gutierrez gets it but puts it back into space. It goes out of bounds. Wasps will have the throw in. And the ball up and over and out. So the Knights have a throw in. Ibrahima Molaba on the ball with the throw in. Looks to put the ball into Carter. And again, the wind kind of playing tricks on everybody, and that ball bounces quickly up and over, and the Wasps hit it out. Cord Cox now with a throw. Great throw, puts the ball in, but straight to a Wasp. We have a foul right there. Ball to Sam Horman. Eric now to Jose Rivas Cruz on the outside left. Ball in, looking for Josh Smith, but not there that time. Move the ball out for a Wasp throw-in. And looks like Villanueva's back on for the Wasps. Now we're back to 11v11. So, ball in from the keeper. Now we have a track race. Bra wins the ball quickly. Court to Jared Atridge, and he gets into the attack, trying to find Eric Gutierrez. Long ball forward, but the Wasps read that. And just a little bit too far from Rivas Cruz and Jared Atridge. One of the things with the wind on the field kind of pushes that ball on that synthetic turf. So just got a little bit away from him. But now you can see Coach Patino, he's asking his team to press and get high so that way they can win the ball in the space in the attacking area for the Wasps. Clearly not happy with that right there. Referee calling a throw in, and I think the Knights were definitely wanting the foul. So put across the middle by the Wasp, and nobody on the right side to be able to win that. So it'll be a throw in. Looks like Colin Flynn will have that. He'll put the ball back into play.
Another dangerous play that time.
Hey, you're back.
Hey, I am back. Sorry, little technical difficulties there, but we'll should be good from here through the rest of the game.
I prefer the term difficulties.
Oh, you, sir, must teach or must be at an institution of higher learning.
Some might call it that, yes.
Long play ahead to midfield. And the Knights still challenging on possession, but catch me up a little bit if you would. So far, what have we seen as far as changes? Well,
I think there's not very as far as personnel changes, but I think you're seeing a team in the Wasps, as we kind of mentioned earlier, that's definitely trying to win that possession battle. The Knights, I think, are fine with soaking up some of that pressure and then kind of attacking them on the counter. They're very fast moving forward, and I think they definitely have the skills to be able to run an effective counterattack. So it's a situation where if the Wasps can maintain a quality possession, then they have a chance for some goals. If not, then it's going to be a situation where the Knights can hopefully get in front and get some counterattacking opportunities as quickly as possible. So one of the things you're seeing a bit from our back line is they're not exactly comfortable with that possession we talked about. They're kind of sending balls forward, which is certainly opportunities lost, I think, if you're Coach Patino, because now you see that ball sent forward by the Wasps, and previously the ball had come from a defender from our side forward, so they lost possession and came right back on top of them.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit more like a game of ping pong.
Yeah.
With the ball flying back and forth, but a player down.
That is David Jackson, a freshman out of Newport News, Virginia.
Seems to be up and okay. Oh, a little misplay again that time. And that one an easy catch for the goalie.
But again, you see the wind on that one kind of made it an easy catch because of the fact that when it left his foot, there was some good pace on it because of how it was hit and with the wind blowing against it. It slowed it down enough for Efren to get under it. So that, again, that wind's playing in right now and is a factor that is affecting the game.
And you were mentioning before perhaps it calming down later. It certainly has not done so yet.
Nope.
But the factor of the sun being in the eyes of the players should be gone now with the sun down behind the trees.
Yeah, so probably the next little while be able to play underneath the lights as those will flick on.
Yeah, what a wonderful addition that is to this field as well, to be able to play games in the evenings.
It definitely makes things a lot easier as far as scheduling. It also makes things, I think, from a fan experience, we were able to get more fans because they're not in class.
Absolutely.
And then the last thing that's not usually mentioned, but every now and then we'd run into these problems where we'd have to have a later start time, and especially as fall progressed, you get these games where you're not quite sure if you're going to be able to get the game in because because the light is no longer available.
Well, we've had. You're no stranger to weather delays either at this point, and that's certainly played a role.
Yeah, that fun 3-hour wait for a soccer game was pretty enjoyable.
Knights with possession again, looking for an opportunity to add to the 1 point. They were able to score early. And since that goal in the 2.5 minutes in, I believe it's
about
been
2.5 minutes in, yes.
relatively quiet. Possession now coming back for the Wasps. Defended well by the Knights, but still threatening. The Wasps certainly have not, despite having taken a couple shots, both receiving physical shots and shots on goal, still not dialing back the pressure at all.
No. It's interesting to look at. You have a game where you only have, between both teams, you have 2 shots on goal. One for the Knights, one for the Wasps, and luckily for the Knights, their shot went in on goal.
Well, and it really is just that little difference, that little opportunity. As you mentioned, the scoreboard line for shots on goal, corners, and everything being so close. The one big important one that does favor the Knights right now is that one goal, which, when it all comes down to it, it's a number that matters most. It may not be the number that's most indicative of how the rest of the game will play out, but to this point, the important factor.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely, if you only take one shot all game long, and the other team takes 10, 15, 20, but you get that one goal, it's all that matters.
So, as someone who again is no expert in soccer, can you tell us what happened there, Coach?
So what happened was, with Carter's injury, he went down. Knights were in. There's question about who is in possession. So it's basically what's called a drop ball. And under those circumstances, what happened was the Knights just simply gave the ball back to the Wasps to restart it. So there's no foul. So nobody has possession. Nobody has an advantage. So simply, it's a situation where they kind of just drop it and give it back to the team that most recently, I guess is the best way to describe it, had possession.
Interesting. Thanks for the clarification on that. That's why we have experts like you, and I'm not sure why we have people like me, but we do. So.
But I would venture to say that may not necessarily be FIFA or anything approved. That may be completely made up rationale by Coach Graurock. So make sure to consult your friendly neighborhood expert on that one as far as refereeing and rules.
Sounds good enough to me. It made sense. We will take it in the absence of anything more assertive.
Yeah, and if anybody has a complaint with that, please feel free to email Daniel Whitehead, the SID for SVU. He'll be able to take your concerns.
Outstanding. Still playing at midfield there, the Knights and Wasps. Still neither team really able to take control either of possession or in score. The Knights now with an opportunity, though.
Almost just went too fast. That's what it looks like. Just went too fast and kind of ended up tripping over himself.
Well, it's exciting when you get opportunities like that.
I never got him when I was, then again, I was playing goalkeeper, so that does usually affect my opportunities for shots on goal.
Limits your scoring opportunities.
In general, yeah. In general, it does.
Now coming up on 30 minutes gone. In the first half, the Knights still leading the Wasps 1-0. And an opportunity just wide. Both teams so far being kind to the goalies, not really making them do a whole lot. Just shots on both sides going rather errant.
Maybe it's the goalkeeper's birthdays.
There you go. Could be that.
Could be that.
It's a gentleman's agreement.
Instead of cupcakes, we won't shoot on you.
That went just a little too fast. The Knights able to get possession again out of that. But for how long?
Well, again, I think you're seeing right there a little bit too quick a play when they're at that end. They need to be more. What you want to see is you want to see the Knights be a little bit more patient in their back end on restarts like that. So got out of it, but it easily could have been a situation where they could have given up a free shot to the Wasps based on loss of possession there.
Well, the Wasps have certainly shown their willingness to capitalize, or their ability to capitalize on those situations, and their willingness to take shots when those opportunities arise, too, so far today.
Yeah.
Looks like we have a new player for Emory and Henry getting ready to check in.
But early on, just in case the fans at home didn't notice or either of us didn't mention it, Cabot Arne came in. He entered the game for, I don't know, really bad on my part.
But he entered the game.
He entered the game. They do have 11. They don't have 12, so that's important to know. There's not going to be any fouls from it. But looks like he came in for Jared Attridge. So Cabot Arne in now. Looks like he's playing an outside right wing. And getting himself in the attack. So Arne in for Attridge.
Knights now getting still not terribly consistent, but able to get more possession certainly than they were able to earlier in this half.
Looks like we have number 8, Jeff Macer, a sophomore midfielder from Pinehurst, North Carolina, coming in for number 10, Jared Erickson.
That substitution in now. Less than 13 to go here in the first half. Knights still leading 1-0. But certainly looking to increase, while Emory and Henry, as you mentioned, just that one early mistake has caused them to be trailing so far. Could have very easily gone the other way.
Yeah, this game could easily be 0-0 right now, and I think it also could be 1-0 for Emory and Henry. So as we've mentioned, it's a very, very balanced game. Both teams are playing to their strengths. Both teams are having opportunities, and I haven't seen one team really push themselves in front of the other just yet. So you got a team in the Knights who are looking to be very quick on their counterattack, and a Wasps team that's looking very hard to try to possess and find those passing lanes and find those opportunities for shots on goal.
So far, both teams, as we mentioned, unable to really assert their will. There's been snatches one way or the other, but overall, pretty evenly matched so far.
Well, and I think your description of a ping pong game is completely appropriate. Right now, we've got two teams that are just going back and forth, and so it's great for those of us, who like that very quick soccer. Perhaps the passing-oriented aficionados may not necessarily like it, but if you want back-and-forth soccer, this is definitely right up your alley.
So for those of you at home who are up for that, maybe it's your birthday. Maybe that's why we've got a
Oh, great shot.
Wow.
Great shot. That's a fantastic set play right there. And definitely have to give kudos right there. The goalkeeper made a solid save.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good shot in there from the corner. And again, that's another one of those plays that, were it not for another couple of inches one way or the other, could have gone and made another big difference in this game.
Certainly. So, it's those game of inches. I mean, we talk about a lot of sports. It is certainly a game of inches. And this one, it was an inch one way and an inch the other. Oh, we got a shoe down.
It took me a half a second to realize that's not a soccer term.
No, it's not a soccer term. It's completely literal on that one. He has lost his shoe.
Indeed. Got a moment to put that back together. The Knights with possession one more time, and the wind picking up, making sure we don't forget its presence here this evening as well. And the wind certainly getting a piece of that one.
Looks like we have number 5, Colby Briggs, coming in for Carter Woods. Colby's a freshman from Chesapeake, Virginia. So Colby brings a lot of pace and a lot of speed, a lot of energy up top. So hopefully there's no let-off between Carter and Colby.
Well, and energy is something the Knights not lacking so far this evening, but you have to imagine you could only, again, if we go back to the comparison of the sprint versus the marathon, the reason you don't sprint at the beginning of a marathon, not that I'm a runner, is because you can only keep that pace for so long.
Indeed, yeah, and so I think it's a situation where have to be very careful, manage your substitutions correctly, and also make sure that you find your moments to find those quick breathers. Like, for example, right here is that spot. You want to sprint back into your position, catch those quick breathers, and then be able to once the ball's in play, make those quick movements into attack.
Well, and certainly if you find yourself catching a breather at the wrong time, it can mean catastrophe, especially in a game so tightly played and scored so far.
Yeah, yep.
Good long ball by Emory and Henry, able to start to set something up, but the Knight defenders there to clamp down immediately. Hopefully that energy you were just talking about can be controlled energy. That's really what the Knights need at this point.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing right now is a situation where the Knights are getting their counterattacking because of the fact that the Wasps are pushing so many people forward. So they have these lanes to attack once Emory and Henry loses possession. But there's danger with that counterattacking as well, which is what the Knights are taking advantage of. It could happen to them on the counterattack. So it looks like I have number 2, Zach Griffin, in for number 21, David Jackson.
And certainly if you've been watching the Southern Virginia volleyball matches, it looked like that for a moment, with the ball staying in the air for quite a number of contacts there, Coach.
Well, sometimes you just have to be well-versed in other sports to play well in your sport.
We like putting in plugs for our other programs when we can.
Yeah, volleyball going and playing their first conference game tomorrow at St. Mary's. So
yeah, they've been very impressive so far this year. A couple of new bright stars from them, and certainly some returners as well. Caitlin Eaton still really playing strong for that squad.
We got a dangerous free kick right here, right outside the 18, so it'd be interesting to see. And this, again, is where that wind is going to kick into play. If you're trying to get a shot up and over a wall and have to dip, it's going to become very difficult because that wind's blowing against it. So we'll see what Carlos can get off on it or what Josh can. So Carlos scored a great free kick early on in the season against Eastern Mennonite, so see if he can replicate it here.
Opportunity for the Knights, but a hard one to be sure. And it sails just high.
Yeah, sometimes it's not that advantageous to have the free kick so close because you can't get the ball up and over the wall. And that definitely would look like that was a situation. So number 23, Cody Carruth, looks like he's coming in from Powhatan, Virginia, a freshman, in for number 3, Jared Rondo.
So you're talking about the inability to the benefit, I guess, from being farther back. Certainly, I imagine it's also the velocity, because you can only put so much heat on it and still let it arc down.
Yeah, so I mean that's a factor as well. You can't blast it because just the physics of it pushes that ball higher and higher and higher until it hits a certain point and then it starts to dip. Well, the problem is if you're too close and it can't dip in time, all the power in the world doesn't do you any good.
Unfortunately, the case that time for the Knights' free kick, but still leading here. So we're now heading just over 5 minutes left. Each team, I imagine, trying to find some positive note to close out the first half.
Yeah, I think certainly if you're Emory and Henry, no goals scored on, and hopefully a goal for you. And then if you're the Knights, you'd like to get one more and keep Emory and Henry off the scoreboard.
Yeah, that 2-point lead in soccer, very important. It takes away that opportunity for the quick equalizing goal. Yeah. You like to have the lead by 1, but I would imagine once you get to 2, that's really where you start to get some breathing room.
Yeah, and sometimes there's two different views on it. There's a view that says 2-0 is the most or 2-goal lead is the most dangerous because all it takes is momentum for 1 goal and they can get back in it. But they've done a lot of studies that sit there and say a 2-goal lead is a lot of times almost insurmountable. So at this point you get that second, and maybe you have locked down that game.
Well, and both from the actual mathematical standpoint, but also from the emotional standpoint, that being down 2 is a big difference as a player as well, knowing that there is no 2-point play in soccer. So no matter what you do, you cannot immediately equalize.
Yep. Looks like number 7, Ty Stubbs, is in for 13. Kenny Stern for the Wasps. So looks like Coach Richardson for the Wasps is putting in some good numbers in right here at the end of the half to get some fresh legs and hopefully get an advantage here towards the end of the first half.
Wasps looking to control that one early and get some momentum.
You could have almost caught that one.
It was close. So I can do some camera work and commentate and shag balls. Why not?
Well, it is the SVU way to do more than one job.
It's true. Sometimes I get bored.
Yes, don't we all?
Knights now back on the attack.
Great ball by Rivas Cruz.
Oh, and a hard cross that time, an opportunity, but the great job by the Wasp defense to get in the middle of it.
Yeah, the Knights weren't crashing enough people, and they didn't have enough people in passing lanes or checking in for chances on goals. So that was a little bit wasted. They pulled a bit too wide, and that hurt them because they didn't have anybody now in the middle for those trailing runs.
Just over 3 minutes now. Again, both teams trying to find a little bit of momentum, something to build off of as you head in to the quote-unquote locker room at the half. If nothing else, the Knights can build on. They've really started to ramp up their time of possession. They're hanging on to the ball a bit more.
Yeah, and I think the good thing about it is they're not necessarily being slow in that possession. They're very quick. They're attacking as best they can go into space and trying to maximize that possession by doing it quickly. So it's not methodical. It's very quick. It's very it's with intent.
Yeah, and controlled as well. A lot fewer errant passes and really wide shots than we saw earlier on. So you have to appreciate not just the quantity of the time, but the quality.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So here's some good movement.
Oh, and a good ball again, but well defended that time. The Wasps able to get, again, right in between the Knights and the goalie, making his job easy yet again.
But you have to like that if you're Coach Coutinho. You have to like that ability for them to get forward and get opportunities on goals. So, they again, can't score if you don't shoot. And they're definitely looking forward to taking shots right now. So
it really puts that pressure down as well. You can sit back there as a defender, and even, we talked earlier about the constant threat of having the ball on your side, but it's got to be even more when shots start coming in and you have to constantly be ready for that next shot coming in, especially if they have been continually.
Right. And I think probably the best way to describe it is it's a lot like a baseball outfielder. You have moments where you're not doing hardly anything, and then all of a sudden, once in that moment, you've got to be aware of it and have to make a quick adjustment. So it's probably the best I would equate it to.
Shout out to our baseball team who is in off season right now, but we'll have.
That's all right. Hector's a good friend of mine.
There you go.
So, and he knows who he is, Hector. You know who you are.
1 minute has come in from the announcer. We'll break away at halftime. We'll have a couple of minutes. Hopefully, we'll see if we can get Coach Patino. Perhaps during halftime, we'll see. And then we'll break away for a little bit and get back to you here in the second half. Still 30 seconds, though.
Not a nice foul there. Definitely not a nice foul.
Yeah, a man down on the ground. Hate to see that.
Sam Horman.
And they are waving trainer Chad Mahaffey on.
It's good to see Chad actually walking. It's actually good to see him walking without a limp, too.
No doubt. Play down now under 30 seconds. That possession back over to the Wasps and a long shot ahead.
That probably won't do it. I'm pretty sure the Wasp coach is not going to be happy with that. So,
yeah, a little bit of a blown opportunity there. And as we wind down, under 10 seconds, and with that we see the lights start to kick on as well.
Very nice.
Knight's going to let that go. And with that, we've got halftime. Southern Virginia 1-0. Coach, we started out this game talking about how each team was looking at it kind of like a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on how each team was able to either transition that or how they're holding up with that pace?
Well, I think it was interesting because it was very frenetic to start out with. I thought it was both teams were going fast, not really with a whole lot of control, and it almost seemed like that first goal was almost more of a it just really seemed like it was out of place more than anything, because after that it seemed to be very much an even back and forth sort of affair. So I certainly at the same time you want to credit Carr for hitting that shot, and then after that point though, both teams a lot more deliberate in how they were playing. You saw an SVU team that was about getting into counterattacking opportunities, and an Emory and Henry team that was looking to possess and to really try to swing the ball around and find opportunities for balls and shots. So contrasting styles to be sure. And as of right now, despite the goal, I haven't seen a clear advantage for either team.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, the Knights looking for a little bit perhaps of a more winnable game than some of them they've played recently. But Emory and Henry really hanging in and not making it any easier on the Knights.
Yeah. So we have some stats here. So if we go back to again the evenness of the game, we've got both teams with 5 shots. The Knights have 3 shots on goal, and you have Emory and Henry with 2 shots on goal. Saves, the keepers have 3 combined saves, and so it's a pretty even game. Corner kicks are 3 apiece, and other than the Carter Woods goal at 2:31 in the first half, it's a fairly even affair.
Well, certainly it seemed that way in all dimensions. The score being close, the stats being close, as you mentioned, the ability to deal with the system and so forth. So far, both teams struggling just a little bit, but also able to hang in and accomplish their goals thus far. Neither team completely, but both teams enough that there's got to be some things they can be happy with.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, you can be unhappy with the lead, so certainly. I
know lots of coaches that can be unhappy with the lead. I remember last week, I think it was, I was walking around the field here, and I heard a coach talking to his team about how he was unhappy with a lead at the half that was pretty sizable. They should have had some more quality possessions and to stop taking rainbow shots. I don't remember who that coach was.
I don't know who you could be referring to. That couldn't be anybody I know. Nobody would ever say anything like that I know.
Certainly. Certainly.
No, I think, you have to be happy with the lead, but you also have to be happy about the fact that you're having opportunities. You're playing a system that is working, even though you're not necessarily overpowering a team, you're certainly having opportunities to be successful. And so for them, I think I think it's a situation where you want to fine-tune a couple things and tell them to maximize the opportunities they get. So,
well, we'll see what adjustments each team can make at the half and come out strong in the second. Again, the Knights winning so far 1-0 at the half against the Emory and Henry Wasps on a very, very early goal. Both teams able to stymie each other a bit since then. We will see how it looks in the second half. We're going to cut away, and we'll be back with the second half here in about 10 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the second half here. Your Southern Virginia Knights men's soccer hosting Emory and Henry's Wasps. The Knights leading 1-0. As we've mentioned several times, it was a very, very early goal at just 2.5 minutes into the game that the Knights were able to secure to keep this lead of 1-0. There's certainly been opportunities for the Knights to extend, as well as for the Wasps to equalize or go ahead. Neither team able to really capitalize on that so far.
Yeah, as we mentioned, it's very back and forth, and I think you want to have the team that's going to establish themselves as being the most control this next few minutes. I think will have the best chance to win. So it can go either way at this moment. I haven't seen anything from either team that's going to make me say, give the edge to one team or the other. So we shall see. We shall see which, if halftime talk from Coach Martino gets the guys going. If they can make some adjustments and play a little bit quicker, a little bit smarter, and have a few more shots on goal to give them an opportunity for goals.
So I'm going to put you in the hot seat here. I do this to Mike Harmon a lot on the volleyball broadcast, as well as some other sports. We'll put you there in the huddle and say, if you were Coach Patino there, besides the couple of things you just pointed out, what specifically do you tell your guys to do? You gave us some points about controlling the ball, moving a bit faster, but also how do you tell them to do that? What exactly are you saying if it's you in the huddle?
Well, I'm telling them it's got to start from our back line. There were moments where the back line was very effective and very smart about possessing the ball and starting the attack. And I think what we saw when the back line took a smart touch, put the pass out the way they wanted to, that they were much more successful getting into the attack. So I'm telling my back line, listen, we need to have you guys not losing possession. We need to have you guys starting the attack, getting the ball into spaces, and getting the ball to feet from our midfielders forward. The second thing that I'd be pointing out is towards the latter half of the half there, they were the Knights were very vertical. They weren't making a lot of horizontal or diagonal runs, and so they were very predictable. And so what I'm telling them is guys, we need to keep that unpredictability of moving off ball. We need to pick that up a bit more. We need to be able to have diagonal runs. We need to have runs into space that aren't simply just from back to front. We need to have them from side to side. And and then finally, I think. Obviously, a quick early goal, I think they kind of died off a little bit, and they need to have a situation where hit some more shots. I think they've been very passive at certain moments with shots, and so they, towards the end, they were hitting those shots, and so I'm telling them, listen, guys, we need to put more pressure from the offensive standpoint of hitting shots on frame and making the keeper work, because apart from one save and that goal, he hasn't had a lot to do, so you haven't really tested him to see if he is if he's good enough to keep you guys out of things. So.
Well, and that's a great perspective in my mind from a coach, because it's pointing out, hey, it's worked. We've done some good things there in the first half. As you pointed out, they've had some really good possessions, and the great thing about it as a coach as well is they've had good possessions doing exactly what you're telling them to do. Mm-hmm. So they really don't have to have a whole lot of faith in you as much as they just have to have a good memory and say, hey, you know what, we did that and that did work.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Maybe we should try that.
Yeah. So well, we'll see what they can work this second half, and hopefully you find the right mix, the right consistency to be successful.
Well, the Knights certainly looking to put that together. If they can hold for the entire half, they will win 1-0, but I can't imagine that's the plan they have going forward.
Well, and I think certainly you want to be pressing high and try to get yourself opportunities for goals, and I think the other issue is I think from a coach's standpoint, you want your team dictating the tempo. You want your team to be in control of everything and not have to worry about fluke occurrences from the other team.
And speaking of controlling tempo, the Knights pushing it there. The ref not only not making the call, but signaling down to the down player to get up.
Sometimes there's some theatricality that's involved, and Unfortunately,
No.
sometimes referees.
Wait, in soccer?
No, it's true. And sometimes referees don't have tickets to the theater, so.
That's unfortunate. Oh, man, it would have been a great opportunity to make a shout-out for the Southern Virginia Theater that just had a play, but unfortunately that wrapped up. Great play written by a graduate, Emory Clough, for those that had the opportunity to go to that. It was a good one last week, but that's okay. So close.
We'll find other segues, I'm sure.
No doubt. We are a liberal arts institution. We're all about connecting all of the parts.
Indeed.
Sports, arts, and the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should say the more you know at the end of that.
Or, knowing is half the battle.
Oh, good one.
Thank you.
I like it.
G.I. Joe shout out. Old school.
Absolutely. Knights getting a little out of sorts that time, and possession back over to the Wasps again. As you mentioned, whichever team really can settle down and get started well here in the second half, likely to come out on top. Neither team so far, again, really able to do that.
Yeah, again, it's back to that ping pong. It's really, about two teams that haven't found a consistency, haven't found the ability to establish, how they want to play.
So as a coach, what do you say to your players in that situation to kind of calm them down and again, as we mentioned, transition it from the
very close.
wide.
Very close. I think what you just saw is what you tell your team to do. That's a situation right there where Carter easily could have tried to take a shot, but instead he was aware enough to pull it back, try to find that opportunity to put a shot on frame. And for Eric, so I think that's what you tell them. You tell them to find those moments to be calm. You find those moments to pick your head up and see the opportunities because they're there. You just have to be patient and in control enough to be able to take advantage of them.
Well, and that's really the irony of the entire situation, isn't it? Because you want to get opportunities and shots, but the best way to get good shots is not necessarily to take a shot.
Yeah, it is sometimes counterintuitive. But I think it's that being a little bit unselfish on a certain level, and being smart enough to see that it's not necessarily my I'm not in the best position at this moment, and there's probably somebody who is in a better position. So it's game awareness, and that comes from consistently just in practice finding those opportunities, and then in games seeing it play out.
Yeah, sticking with the game plan, the larger plan rather than just in the moment. As well, and as long as we're making segues, what's the quote? True doctrine understood will change behavior faster than a study of behavior will change behavior. In this case, sticking to the game plan will create shots better than just trying to take shots.
Yeah, shots. Yeah, and soccer is one of those games where it's the fluidity and just the unpredictableness means that sometimes you do throw, though, however, the system out of the book, out the window, because you're that moment of sheer brilliance and creativity just completely changes everything. So, it's interesting that from a coach's standpoint, I can sit here and say all day long, stick with the system, stick with the being patient, and then in one fell swoop, somebody can prove me wrong by doing something completely brilliant and completely unexpected.
Well, but hopefully it's the system that gives you those opportunities. It's what puts you in the position to where those moments can come and those chances to do amazing things that may not be following the actual plan, but because you followed it to that point, it opens up those opportunities.
For sure, yeah, that's 100% correct. Yeah, the system definitely sets up those moments.
It's like you have to know the rules first before you can break them. That's true in writing. It's true in sports. Again, one of those principles that really crosses the board.
Yeah, it's interesting right now that looking at things a little bit. The Knights look to be a little impatient. They're dribbling into players. They're not necessarily finding passing lanes or finding opportunities to, have possession in space. They are dribbling into people, and that's a dangerous combination at this moment.
Well, certainly the Knights having to work for it. Oh, Good.
Great ball by Eric.
Yeah,
Great
well
ball by
played
Eric.
that time, but the defense of the Wasps immediately coming back and defending it. The Knights maintaining possession, though. Oh. Pretty at that time, especially when you're standing 20 feet in front of a referee. I have to say, Matt, you've done a great job giving us some insights into coaching this evening and what it's like to be a coach. Clearly, you're in the right profession there. I would not encourage you to be a weatherman, though, because the wind has increased even more this evening.
Well, it was a shot in the dark, really, and you're right. My meteorological skills are pretty poor. I did not take that class at SVU, mostly because it wasn't offered, but...
You're just putting the positivity out into the universe and seeing what happens.
Well, I mean, you just got to do what you got to do sometimes. So, I was having a glass half full outlook that the wind would die down and allow the soccer. I think the wind has definitely affected things tonight. I think you can see long balls are certainly affected. Clearances are affected. Crossing is affected, and so it just even balls on the ground, because it rolls so much faster. It has affected the game tonight, and certainly I think a team that's going to be able to adjust to that better is going to be have a better chance to win. So at this point, it's not dying down. So obviously they're going to have to be in a situation that both teams are going to have to look to adjust as soon as they possibly can.
Well, and there's also been times you've seen players on both sides kind of double clutch it,
right,
and think, oh, I'm going to send this one long, and then think better of it because so many have gone so far astray.
Yeah, and that, so again, these little things, they add up. They affect how you pass. They affect your moving off the ball. They affect what you're overall doing, just because of the fact that you have almost a second opponent. You got the team that's on the field, and you have that opponent of the weather.
Yeah, and so just as your opponent limits your options by the defense that they play on you, the options also limited by the weather. And possession continues there.
So there's Court doing a great job of tracking back. He's got such great speed, that closing speed, to be able to get him to a point where he can get that ball out or catch up to that forward who's gotten past him. That's phenomenal speed, and it's a great thing. It's a great asset for Coach Patino to have out there.
Speaking of double clutching, look, a couple of those opportunities to throw in by the Wasps taken back.
Well, it's interesting if you think about that. The goal for Carter in the first half came with the wind, mostly at his back, so it was able to blow. The shot was able to blow across, on this from the right side, or from the near side for us. It's a situation where, those shots don't fly as well because of the fact that wind blows it back. So. It's an example right there of taking advantage of the wind. Looks like we got a little bit of an injury here. Looks like number 27 for Emory and Henry.
Definitely got a little bit of a limp to him there. And interestingly, number 24 for the Knights and number 24 for the Wasps coming in at the same time.
24 Eric Lugg, and I do not have 27 for the Wasps.
Yeah, I know the Wasps had a few roster changes and number changes right before the game started, so we apologize for not having that number for you.
Broadcasters are usually the last ones to know that sort of stuff, unfortunately.
I thought it was broadcasters and then coaches.
Well, yeah, but I could be the broadcaster this evening, not the coach.
There you go.
But you're right, that wind has definitely picked up. It's definitely affecting, definitely affecting that play.
And to go back to our earlier analogy, that's why Southern Virginia's winning.
Yeah, it is.
Because the Knights, with the aid of the wind, can beat the Wasps, because the wind keeps the Wasps away.
There you go.
Everything's logical. except the things that aren't.
Or everything that's in my head. So
the wind that time, again, carrying the ball out. Possession down. And, man, the wind, you can just see the rotation on the ball even being altered a bit.
Yeah, it certainly is a situation where, it
everyone looking to avoid the near sideline.
Yeah.
Because the wind is just coming so hard in this direction.
And I think at this point you don't necessarily tell your team to not go down this sideline, but you might,
Well, and whether they consciously realize it or not, I think that's kind of everyone's tendency at this point.
Right.
Just because of what they're noticing on the field.
Yeah, and so you have to be able to use all sides of the field, but I think you have to be very smart about when you're on the near side, because it definitely does change the game up.
Yeah, it's that extra opponent that you mentioned. It's basically as if each side has an opponent of defense on this side of the field that's not nearly as potent on the other. And again, neither team really able to set up an offense. Certainly not as definitively as we've seen in some earlier games this season by the Knights, but both teams just very, very short, no long possessions by either team. I think that's the interesting thing. It isn't just time of possession, it's length of individual possessions that's been so short. And the wind again, getting a piece of that one and sending it down the hill. Another play on. Knights again, perhaps moving a bit too fast, or was that just good defense, Coach?
I think it's them moving too fast. I think they're just getting ahead of themselves a little bit too much, and that affects their play. And so you want to play fast, but you definitely want to play in control at the same time. So I think what we're seeing is the Knights trying to get into those attacking spaces, but just being too fast and overrunning the ball. So
since you made the G.I. Joe reference, we'll go with another old reference, slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Something along those lines, yes.
Well, the Knights certainly could use some smoothness at this point. Both teams, again, just kind of, a huge pirouette almost on that one. And a little conversation with the referee going on. The Knights put it back in play, but well defended.
So again, that's an example where the Knights playing into pressure and they're dribbling into players, which ends up ruining opportunities for goal scoring chances. So need to be a little bit smarter about what they're doing with the ball.
Good possession this time.
Oh,
ooh, and again a good shot, but just off frame.
Great shot by Jose Rivas Cruz on that one. He split through the defense, and it goes back to what we were talking about. It wasn't a vertical run; it was a horizontal with the ball into space, where Emory and Henry had gaps, and so that provided him an opportunity to get on frame, or at least get the shot. So,
it's maintaining the attack, though.
That was smart defense. That was very smart defense by Emory and Henry. He didn't try to whack it out, but kind of baited Carter into jumping and then kind of played it off him. So that was a great defense.
So another thing that's I would imagine at least is unique to soccer as opposed to, say, basketball or football is those missed shots, if they're at least in the ballpark, probably gain confidence for you in soccer as opposed to the other way around in basketball or football or some of the other sports.
They do. Again, you have to, something that they tell world-class forwards is that just keep shooting. And famous managers sit there and tell these players, "Oh, I have a breakaway." Oh, great save by Efren. Great save.
Yeah, Scary, you had been talking earlier about counterattacks, and in that one, a very, very quick shot that came down that started with the goalie of Emory and Henry.
Well, and it goes into that wind played a factor again. It just affects how they're playing. So. Got some wholesale changes for the Wasps. Looks like 13, Kenny Stern is coming in. Looks like 21, David Jackson. And number 17, Zach Quest coming in for Ty Stubbs and Jeff Macer. And 23, Cody Caruth. So some fresh legs heading into this with about 28 minutes left in the second half.
Errant throw in that time will give the Knights another opportunity there. Continue on if you would. Your point about telling forwards to just keep shooting.
Yeah, they just have to be in a position where they keep shooting. That's their job. As much as it may not necessarily go in, it does build confidence because you're close. You're getting on frame. You're getting opportunities for shots, and so.
And speaking of shots, another one there. Both teams.
Great shot. Great shot by Josh Smith.
Both teams getting a little bit more aggressive. And we've seen a substantial increase in shots in goal on both ends just in this last couple of minutes. Well, and I imagine it's also just it's playing the numbers game. There's a skill certainly to being able to find the net. There's a talent level where some players are able to do it more than others, but it's also just looking for those opportunities where the goalie's out of position or it plays off of a defender and changes the direction and things like that, where it's just a numbers game. The more often you shoot, even if it's not shooting particularly well, but close enough to get you in the ballpark, you can sometimes it's get a fortuitous turn there.
Yeah, definitely. Got 27 back in for 10, Jared Erickson. But yeah, I think the law of big numbers says that at some point stuff is going to go in. So I think I am certainly no mathematician, but I do know that the more and more you take shots, the greater chance you're going to have that it's going to go in. So I think it's a balancing act. You want to make sure your players are being smart about the shots they're taking. You don't want them hitting these ridiculous shots that have no chance of going in just to take shots. You want them to be quality. You want them to be, situations where they're going to make the goalkeeper work, or at least make the defense panic a little bit. And the better that chance is, the better you're going to be. So I think it's a situation where, if they're quality shots, I don't think you have a problem with it. When they're just shooting to shoot, there's not really a whole lot in it. I think that's when you have certain problems as a coach.
Yeah, got to be difficult as well. I imagine where that ratio falls isn't just based on necessarily a golden principle, but also based on the team that you have, the individual players and their talent level, and also the opponent.
Yeah, and I think your situation where the player is or the team is a situation where they maybe have a very strong defense or a very good goalkeeper. You want to be in a situation where you're going to want to hit those shots and try to hit them on a consistent basis because, or look to hit them as often as you can, because you may not get that many opportunities to start with. So you have to, just be smart about it and try to find those opportunities quickly.
Looks like an injury substitution there for Southern Virginia as well that time.
Yeah, we've got Cabot Arne coming off, and on is Hunter Gonzalez. So that's a situation you don't like to see injury, that's for sure. That's especially because for one thing, the player, but secondly, then it can throw off the continuity, it can throw off the flow of what you might have been doing.
Well, and flow, an issue for both teams so far tonight. Southern Virginia without substitution. Hopefully, it doesn't get broken up anymore. Both teams, and so again, not being an expert, I have to ask: is it more that as it was earlier, both teams not able to settle down, or is there a bit more of a point and counterpoint at this point that it's more the teams defending what the other is throwing at them?
I think what you're seeing is two teams that don't necessarily, as I look at it, you're seeing teams that are looking to take chances, but at the same time are still wanting to, in some way, shape, or form, play it a little bit safe. You're seeing. You're seeing a situation where the players are saying, "I don't want to be that guy who makes the mistake,"
right.
And so I think there's certainly I would call it kind of a nervous tension as you see it as out there. They just don't want to make that mistake. They know that it could at any moment. The wind plays havoc with things going on, and then you have to worry about you have teams that are fairly evenly matched. So. That's just what I'm seeing right now as they're playing.
And an opportunity there in the goal does not ultimately work out for the Wasps. So speaking of trying to find that happy medium, that sweet spot, how do you do that as well? Because you certainly don't want your guys, everybody out here playing hero ball either. But you do want people that are confident enough to put themselves in the position to make the big play either on the offense or the defensive side of the ball.
Right. I think it's if I'm being honest, I think it's a situation where a lot of it comes to maturity of the players. You can try to create the environments on the field, but a lot of times it just comes down to the players having that game awareness and being mature enough to see those opportunities and see those moments and be able to slow that game down. So I think there are things you can do coaching and you can try to implement that, but I think your best bet as a coach is to play those players who have that ability and that mentality to slow things down and be in control. And,
sure.
But at the same time, to be brave and be willing to take chances and know that the teams that take chances are a lot of times the teams that it pays off for them.
Well, and it seems like that's the overarching principle is it's to be willing when the time comes and that shot is yours, again, whether it is an actual shot or a defensive play or whatever, to take it, but also to not force it, so to know the difference and to recognize those situations for what they are.
Yeah, I agree to that. I think that's a huge factor.
And once again, I could have reached out and
I did.
touched that one. Oh, good for you. Look at that.
Souvenir.
That's how a broadcasting duo works. Just like that.
Tag team.
See, so that chance I said, hey, I have the opportunity here. I could do it, but I'm on a 15-foot scaffold, and I would have to reach out. And I think my teammate, you are in the better position there. I'm going to let that one go to you.
That's very good game management there, Art. Very good game management. You're not too worried being up there with wind and height,
Nah.
Okay. We're not going to have a Notre Dame?
No.
Okay.
No. Not a problem. We are in good shape. Speaking of being in good shape, the Knights now on the attack.
Oh.
For a moment, anyway.
Well, and again, it goes to that point that I've been bringing up, is they continue to play into players. They're not trying to find lanes to be able to get into. They're running into players.
23 minutes now away in the second half. Still that very early goal. The only difference. The Knights leading 1-0 over Emory and Henry.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if that goal did hold up. That would be impressive to go for, pretty much, to go for 88 minutes with a 1-0 lead. That would be impressive.
Well, and you would have to feel bad for the goalie in particular of Emory and Henry to have endured that, or to get off the bus. You're just you're kind of jacked up and getting ready to play, and you make that one mistake early on, and spend the rest of the game, frankly, playing pretty well as a defense, and just not able to shake that one early error.
Yeah, and unfortunately that is the bane of a goalkeeper's existence, which is they can play fantastically, and all it takes is one moment that they have really no control over, and then all of a sudden they're on the losing end of it. So I mean, you look at a goalkeeper right now from Emory and Henry, and both goalkeepers have played well, but a situation where all it takes is one moment where it's completely beyond their control, and they're driving home a little bit, very frustrated.
Well, and as mentioned, a lot of times it's not even in their control. Certainly they can't protect the entire net. They rely a lot on their defenders, and also a lot on chance, particularly when there are factors like the wind out here tonight.
Yep.
Possession back over to Emory and Henry, but the Knights, you can tell, still very energetic, not conceding anything even that far on the other end.
Well, and what I like to see from the Knights is the fact that they were, Emory and Henry had that possession deep in their end, but the Knights were pressing very high, looking to try to win it in Emory and Henry's end. So that's a great sign from them. One of the things it does is it provides some opportunities that they win the ball for goal-scoring chances, but more importantly, what it does at this point, it prevents Emory and Henry from getting good looks to get the ball out and get chances for them offensively.
Well, and interestingly enough, if the issue you're having is moving the ball upfield, if you start with it upfield, that helps a lot too.
It does.
And that one just wide as well. Pretty far outside shot. And Coach Patino calling out to maintain possession, to hold on to the ball, unless I'm mistaken.
I think he's very happy with his team, but certainly hit those shots, but look to make one more pass, especially if you got this win or if you got this lead. So.
And the ball going back the way of the Knights, but slowly enough. Again, an easy take by the goalie of Emory and Henry, who also, frankly, doesn't look to be in too big of a hurry himself.
I think at this point, you want that sort of setup from your goalkeeper, which is right now you don't want a goalkeeper who's frantic, because what that does, that gets a defense to be frantic, and you need to be calm. Even though you're down, you need to have a defense that's calm. You need to have a team that's calm. So we have a substitution, number 2 for Emory and Henry. Zach Griffin comes in for 24, Eric Lugg.
Scuffle down this sideline and another ball out of bounds, and that one, once again, just changing direction despite a little bit of English being put in the other direction. The wind just unrelenting.
Well, and again, it goes to that point we keep talking about. It is a factor, and the issue being is that I think you kind of want to, as a coach, you have your team get away from that. But the problem being is that wind is just kind of not allowing that to happen.
Well, and it's been so inconsistent as well. It's been at times it's been really gusting up, and then times it dies down. So
yeah,
a little chat between a referee and a player that time. Looks like that's a caution for potentially taking a shot at a goalie.
I think he didn't. Yeah, referee did not like the fact that he slid in on our keeper like that. I think he's certainly not happy about that, and understandably so. You got to be able to protect that keeper.
A little bit of a scuffle there too. And the card coming out. Both players getting a little heated on that one. But again, unless I'm mistaken, it looks like it was the Emory and Henry player getting booked.
Yes, it was. It was number 2, Zach Griffin. He's been replaced really quickly for number 7, Ty Stubbs. Looks like he wanted to. Looks like coach for Emory and Henry wanted to. Oh no, there is some blood. So.
And now taking a moment to chat with the other player involved in that as well. Looked like both just kind of got limbs locked around each other, and the result is what the result was.
Yep. I don't know if there's anything necessarily malicious in that. I think there was certainly,
sure.
But he's got to be smart and got to be,
Well, and it's
great ball for Emory and Henry.
It's got to be frustrating for both sides of that as well. The Knights to have scored so early but not be able to replicate it, and Emory and Henry for having quite a number of opportunities to equalize but being unable to do so. A lot of frustration starting to surface on the faces of these players.
Yeah, I think you're seeing two teams who are going at it now who are definitely trying to you got a team that's pressing to get a goal to get back in this. You got a team that's pressing to, kind of close the door and finish it out. So I think you're going to see some more tempers flare. Hopefully, referee can keep things in control. So looks like Colby Briggs coming in for Hunter Gonzalez for the Knights.
Well, and I really like how the referees have not just been blowing whistles and walking away, but they've really taken the opportunity to talk to several players and explain, hey, this is what's going on, this is what's not okay, to hopefully keep control.
Yeah, and I think you need that, and I think that's, as a coach, that's something that I'm very, I like to see from our referees, because what happens then is that allows them, teaching moments to be able to sit there and get the players under control. It allows them the opportunity to sit here and establish who really is in control of the game, and to be able to allow the game to flow, let them play aggressively, but not to have to worry about things getting out of control. And so I think that's critical. I think that's the referee is not making himself known really in this game. He's letting him play, but he's not. The last thing we need to be talking about is the referee.
Well, but as you mentioned, teaching moments as well, I think it's a great point to make, that at this level, not everyone on both these teams has been playing soccer for 20 years.
Right.
And certainly the freshmen coming in haven't played soccer at this level, and as you increase in athleticism and as you move up the ranks of any sport, the rules, they don't change, but in some ways they do a little bit. What's acceptable changes a little bit, and so it's taking those opportunities to educate and say, I don't know what was okay in wherever you played high school, but at this level, in this conference, in this situation, that's not acceptable. Right,
and I think what everybody has to understand is that there's a flow to the game, and there's certainly a situation where like I kind of joked about, I don't know everything, the ins and outs of the rules and things like that, and it's terrible as a coach. But I know the big ones. But I think sometimes the perception of what the referees are trying to do and how they're trying to maintain order, Oh, great ball.
And just a little putt after he gets by the goalie that time. Very well played by Southern Virginia.
Josh Smith getting that goal. That was a great ball from Carlos Munoz to put him into space. So excellent work and good work from Josh Smith to finish it off.
And that's another one of those situations you say not entirely in the goalie's control.
No.
The situation that the offense was able to put him in, and the kind of slow reaction by the defense. Really, in that scenario, he did the best he could to try to come up and squash it immediately. But after that attempt was gone, it's just an open net.
Yep. So unfortunately for the goalkeeper, he's played well today. But great job by the Knights. Great job to be able to put them in a position to hopefully close the door on this game and get the win out. So, but it looks like they're definitely shooting for more, which is a great sign. You don't want to be content with what they have.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, it's helpful with the idea that you'll get another one and make it more difficult. But even if you don't, keeping the ball on that end certainly limits the possibilities for goals from the opposition as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Just over 12 minutes to go now. The Knights with a second goal leading 2-0 over the Emory and Henry Wasps. Knights looking to hang on at this point, but as you mentioned, you can hang on without being passive and being content with what you have.
Yeah, and I think you have to. I think, I think it's a situation where there's enough talent from the visitors that if they have an opportunity, I think they can score a goal. They can put themselves in a position to, tie this game up. So, not a lot of time, to be sure, but, you want to, again, close the door on them. Don't let them back in at all. So the better the pressure can be offensively and those opportunities, take them when you get them.
Well, it's a compliment by the Knights really to keep playing aggressively.
Yes.
As you said, that they don't feel like the game is over yet. And it's also a good opportunity for them because they have had such a good, difficult time with possessions and on the offense tonight to really secure that, especially as they're getting ready to move back into conference play and get those wheels greased a little bit and show, okay, we really can do this, proving it more to themselves, getting that real world practice more than you can do on the practice field.
Yeah, and I think you need this confidence heading into conference. So this is definitely a game that you want. So looks like a couple of subs for Emory and Henry. He's got 23. Cody Caruth looks like he's coming back in, and 10 Jared Erickson coming back in for 7 and 21. Ty Stubbs and David Jackson.
So with 11 minutes left, down by 2, do you think is that the point where the Emory and Henry coach says, okay, we need energy, we need fresh legs, we need somebody who can possibly make a breakout quick goal? Do you think that's the mentality of the substitution there?
Yeah, I mean that's part of it. I think another issue is you maybe going to your most seasoned veterans at that point who don't necessarily who under this pressure circumstance aren't necessarily going to wilt. I guess for the best term possible. So that's kind of what you're looking for with some of these subs. And then the other thing you do sometimes is based on just the dynamic of college soccer is you've pulled your starters for a while for part of the second half to give them a breather so that they can be finishers here at the end of the game.
Well, and finishing, the mentality of both teams at this point, the Knights to hold on or even increase the lead, but Emory and Henry starting to run out of time. If they don't get a first goal, certainly the second will never come.
Indeed.
Good offensive possession now, though.
Oh no, that's not good. That was a fantastic shot, though, and that's what we were talking about. You have 9.5 left, so that was fantastic shot to be sure, but
yeah, high finding that high corner, and now as you mentioned earlier, 2-0 being a dangerous situation if momentum shifts with a first goal, and that is exactly what has just happened.
Well, and I think in looking at that as I was progressing, one of the things that was happening was you had a back line from the Knights that were under a lot of pressure, and you didn't have midfielders or forwards from the Knights checking in to provide cover, provide defensive support, and that's what happened.
Well, I think that's also a kind of a dangerous situation.
Looks like we have a PK.
Well, and a terrible situation then for Emory and Henry after getting that score and giving themselves an opportunity to equalize. Very, very difficult now, and a lot of pressure on that goalkeeper. But we'll see here now the opportunity to again go up by 2, or possibly a huge momentum gain again after that first goal if the Wasps can stop it, but not so much. Quick shot on that one as soon as the referee blows the whistle, steps up, and it looked almost effortlessly just finding the back of the net. And what a huge momentum shift. Again, when you're up 2-0, the Knights looking on the other end, almost playing a little lackadaisically, as if they were kind of saying, okay, there's 9 minutes left, we're up 2, and kind of phoning it in. But the quick goal could have been a huge momentum shift. And again, if that block would have come off, that would have been just tremendous. But instead, it goes the other way, and the Knights back where they were just a minute ago.
Back with a 2-goal lead.
And the momentum as well.
Yeah, with the momentum, which I think is a huge factor at this point. So we shall see how it plays out. So, I mean, I figured the last 5 minutes we've seen 3 goals. It'll be interesting to see if it ends that way or what.
And lots of soccer games go 90 minutes without seeing 3 goals. So
yes.
A very action-packed last few minutes here. Plenty of time, the Knights surveying, the wind dying down, but only for a moment. And there's that chippiness again. And again, that's got to be so frustrating, the Knights, to give up that late goal after going so long without anything, and then Emory and Henry to immediately give one back.
Yeah, so it's. I think what you're seeing right now is I think there's a lot of tension, a lot of frustrations, certainly on Emory and Henry's side. So, it's going to be a situation where they're going to have to be very, very patient and very, very cautious as they go for the last 7 minutes or so.
Well, and I'll tell you, I really like the referee no card on that. It was clearly both were frustrated, just a little bit of a push off, but walks in and I'm guessing said, hey, I'm letting you both off with this one, but there's 8 minutes left in this game and we're not putting up with any more. But I like that, especially since cards are cumulative, just understanding the tempers are flaring a little bit, and nobody being overly aggressive, though certainly not appropriate, but willing to not pull out the book and just give a double warning.
Well, and I think you're looking at a referee who's trying to make sure and establish control and make sure that this game doesn't get away from him, and just be kind of smart enough to sit there and say, boys, let's just calm down a second. Let's not get out of control. Let's just be really smart about how we go about things.
Yeah, clearly nobody wants to see that from either side. Frustrations aside, there's certainly no reason to let it escalate beyond the game.
Right.
Under 7 minutes to play at this point. The Knights still leading by 2 and on the attack.
Oh, Josh looking for a hat trick.
Oh.
Very, very close.
Good defense by the Wasps, but man, he is fast, isn't he?
He is, and he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do, which is get back for that pressure as fast as he can. So he lost the ball, and now he's back as soon as he can for pressure. So that's a great job by Josh. He's played a great game today.
Knights again on the attack, working the ball around. Lots of those short passes that you had talked about earlier.
Yep.
And a good look at a cross, and that's going to be a corner.
And that just sets up well. I mean, their simple balls are putting them in a position where they can get good shots or attacking opportunities.
Corner kick opportunity here for the Knights. Certainly in no hurry, but won a good possession. That one, as you mentioned earlier, it's he had a pretty good look at it, unable to connect with it on frame, but relatively, the Knights pretty much got what they were looking for.
Yeah, it's they had an opportunity and they took it. Just didn't work out, but it's certainly a situation where looks like we got ourselves another card.
Yeah, it was a beautiful little shake and bake that time by the Knights, but clearly it was not considered to be the same from the perspective of the Wasps.
Yeah, well, the Wasp defender knew he was beat and said, it's time to see if I can get myself a souvenir of a jersey.
Well, frustration as well. Certainly a play that pretty sometimes you may take it as they're just showing off. It was certainly an impressive play and
right.
helpful. But again, with tempers being what they were, things can certainly be misinterpreted.
Indeed.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, great shot. What a turn and what a shot.
I don't even know what to say. What an amazing play to take turn, recognize his situation, realize the position of the goalie, and sink that one right over his head.
That was great work by Colby.
That
great
was
shot.
Inches from the reach of the Emory and Henry goalie, who has had a tough time tonight to hold on with just that one early goal for a good solid 80 minutes, but to have 3 more in, and the Knights starting at this point to pile it on a bit. And 17.
So now we're definitely seeing some tempers flare. We're just seeing some people who are just very frustrated with losing like this. And, hopefully the referee will be able to maintain control till the very end, because this could get very ugly very quickly. So hope we don't see that, though.
Yeah, absolutely. The Knights able, as we said, just as happy as they have to be to have poured in 3 goals quickly, you have to also consider the situation from the other end where Emory and Henry, after that early goal, able to hold off so many for so long, but that dam has clearly broken.
Yep. Well, we talked about which team was going to be able to control things heading into the second half, because it was a very even game, and the Knights were able to. And the interesting thing is we still have a situation where shots on goal are pretty much almost even, but the Knights were able to take advantage of their opportunities a little bit better.
Well, certainly not over yet. 4 minutes is enough to put 3 goals in, but it would have to be very, very quick and start very, very soon.
Well, and I think one of the things right now with Emory and Henry is I think their frustrations are preventing them from, having those calm, cool, collected heads to be able to go and try to get those shots and get those 3 goals. They're frustrated with how things are going, and that frustration is preventing them from playing, soccer that would allow them an opportunity to score goals.
Well, and as you were talking about the control, the importance of controlling the ball and controlling your mindset and staying in system, certainly controlling your emotions. So as you lose that, it makes it even harder as well to do the same thing.
Right, for sure.
Emory and Henry with possession. The Knights challenging. And off the back of his own player that time. And we have a fall leaf blowing across the field. For a minute, it looked like the referee had dropped a yellow card. Whoever picks this up, you can assign it as you please. But no, it's just the fall foliage, as it is so beautiful here in the Shenandoah Valley.
And they started to drop today. I was driving through town, seen a bunch of piles of leaves.
Yep.
Apparently, they know it's coming October, and wasn't expecting that. The thing I find interesting about the trees is that they feel the need to drop their leaves pretty much all at the same time. So,
yep. As they decide to shed what looks like a nice coating for warmth, we add ours.
Indeed.
Tempers still flaring. Lots of calls from the sideline on that. Again, certainly with these last 2 minutes, there are opportunities for goals, but there are also opportunities for this to get out of control. And the referee is quick to blow their whistle. Now, again, I imagine it's a difficult perspective to say at this point, perhaps, hey, we've lost. It doesn't matter. I can do what I want. That's a mentality the referees have to be aware of as well.
Right.
Probably a factor in the decision to make those cards cumulative throughout the season.
Yeah.
opportunity. Now Emory and Henry with the counter. And we're back to ping pong. Ping pong is a fun game. It's okay. And the speed definitely setting in at this on the part of Emory and Henry at this point. Recognizing the time that they have left and realizing this game is just about salted away. .15 seconds to play, and the Knights looking like they've got this one wrapped up. What looked like it was a very, very close game throughout it, and frankly was, just until the last 10 minutes, and the Knights ultimately able to secure the victory. A bit of a stretch there for a while. It looked very, very tumultuous, both teams going back and forth just a little bit, but the Knights able to hold on and add in the goals when necessary, despite that late goal scare by Emory and Henry when it was 2-1. Definitely looked like it was going to be a scary finish there. Like both teams had the opportunity to either step up or fold, and the Knights benefiting from a PK. They're very late, able to do what they had to, putting that in the back of the net, and then adding one on top of that as frustrations mount for Emory and Henry, and they had a difficult time finishing out that game. Southern Virginia coming away with the victory, 4-1 over Emory and Henry. We'll stay with you here for just another minute. We're going to have Coach Matt Graurock. We'll have a quick post-game interview with head coach Josh Patino from Southern Virginia to get his thoughts on the game, as well as some thoughts on their upcoming opponents. As we mentioned earlier in the broadcast as well, this is a match out of conference. The Knights started conference play this last week, dropped 2 games, most recently to Salisbury, a difficult one, 3-0, and also, as Coach Graurock mentioned, a very difficult conference top to bottom. So nice to get an opportunity to play a quality opponent while they're here at home, but get a break in the conference schedule and able to do that here on the fields at Southern Virginia University. The Knights continuing with their tradition in the postgame of after every game they go by and high-five every fan at the fence before gathering back as a team. Always like to see that, the support, both the support of the fans for the players, but also the appreciation of the players for the fans that come out and see the contest. Speaking of which, we've got more home contests this week. Southern Virginia men's and women's soccer in action on Saturday. And there's another home game on Friday as well, so back-to-back broadcasts this weekend, 3 more this week, and then lest we forget, next week is homecoming here at Southern Virginia, which will bring all kinds of excitement and all kinds of action, including probably most notably the first home contest for the men's football team. It will be their first home game ever played here on the fields at Southern Virginia University. Should be a big event. The scoreboard, as you've seen a few times tonight, has been brought in and is good to help give that atmosphere. Should be a big event coming up. We're going to toss it down now to Coach Matt Graurock as he talks to Josh Patino about his thoughts on the game this evening.
So thanks, Art. I'm with Coach Josh Patino, and thoughts on getting a 4-1 win over Emory and Henry.
Yeah, it's great to win. It feels good to win. I think it's a win that we needed to have, and boys played fantastic. Rough first half, towards the end, especially the last 20 minutes of the half, I thought the boys came out and really played well.
Yeah, talk to us about how. So it's a super windy night. Was that a factor with how you guys played? Did it come into play with anything you guys were doing this evening?
You know what? I think it just made corner kicks a little bit more dangerous, especially for them in swinging. And you know what? There was more of a factor was the sun in the first half for our goalkeeper. The wind definitely picked up. Guys a little bit colder, especially guys coming off the bench aren't quite as warm. Other than that, I think any ball that swung in from the far side had a lot more power on it.
Yeah.
Whipped in a little bit more.
Talk to us about Josh Smith. Gets 2 goals. It looks like he's getting back into shape after having been out for injury for a little while. So talk to us about him.
Yeah, Josh is exciting. Josh is he's a sophomore this year, and him coming back from suspension, he's been away for a little bit. And so, anyway, it's exciting to have him back. And tonight we kind of chatted before the game, and he said that tonight was going to be his night to score. And I definitely trust Josh on that penalty kick, and so I wanted him to take it. And what a great, fantastic first goal that he had, coming in from the outside. And that's what, I mean, even in the first half, Josh was really dangerous, but it's great to see him finish, and it's good for his confidence as well.
Great. And final note, decided to dress up tonight. Is that the good luck charm? You're going to be with that for the rest of the season?
You know what? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's not going to hurt.
All right, well, thanks. Congratulations on the win, and good luck the rest of the way, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks, Coach Patino, for taking the time to chat a little bit with us. We appreciate everyone for coming out and watching tonight. Final score again: Southern Virginia Knights defeating the Emory and Henry Wasps 4-1. We'll catch you with our broadcast on Friday and this weekend. Have a good night.